So I would say that I live my life to a code, and it's based on priorities. And I would say there's 4 real priorities. It's my work, my family, my community and religion, and my health. And not necessarily in that order, but I think it probably is actually in that order. I value a quality of life. I think it's important. It's not all about money. You know what? I grew up with nothing and I was happy, and today, thankfully, I have, and I'm equally as happy. It's not how much money I have in my bank that makes me happy, although having bills paid is a nice feeling. I have 3 children, a beautiful wife and 3 children, 11, 15, and 16. And I'm an involved parent and spouse. I don't build or work outside of Montreal because I always want to be home, and generally you can find me at home at 5 at night. I value my community and giving back. When I didn't have anything as a child, we were not at the mercy, but involved with the community or helped by the community, and I value that, and I recognize it's harder for people today to make it on their own in certain cases. So I very much give back to the community, and I'm involved in organizations and very involved, and I would say it takes up a good part of my time. I believe in being healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life, happy wife. Among my accomplishments in life, and there are many, including like professionally building and my family, but beyond that, I would say communally, I actually built a synagogue, which was a $9 million project. I found the land, developed it, built it, and it's a marquee building today and structure used by thousands. And I'm a long distance, I'm an endurance athlete. Basically, it's how I deal with my stress. Really, that's my motivation. I do my best thinking when I'm alone, looking at the pavement or the pool black line or whatever. I compete in half Ironman triathlons. I'm a long distance marathon runner. I've been running. I realize I've been running for half my life. Not giving my age away, but half of my life I've been running. And I spend time, I would say I train on average 15 to 20 hours a week. At ungodly hours. My day starts at 4:45 in the morning generally, so I find the time. To talk about my story, in how my start in real estate brings us back to 1984. I went to a private school as a child. I was fortunate in that way, but my parents couldn't afford to continue sending me, and I still wanted to go. So I actually made a deal with the school to paint the school. So in the summer and after school, I would paint the school, and I would come home, and where we lived was an apartment building on Côte-de-Neige, and I would come home all full of paint, and other tenants would see me and say, "Hey, could you paint my apartment?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I built up a painting company for quite a few years, and it expanded. Someone would ask, can you do ceramic? And I would say yes, and I would have my handy how-to book and learn on the fly. And I started doing renovations, and I built that up, and it got me all the way through university. And one of those people that I worked for doing tenant improvement, gyprock, plaster, stuff like that, building out spaces, a property owner, when I graduated university, I called him up and I said, I want to make the transition from renovations to real estate. I said, I don't care what you pay me, but I want you to hire me. I want to work for you. And he's basically the only person I could ever work for and that I have ever worked for. He hired me. He actually didn't pay me for a few months, for a few weeks or maybe a month, but that's how it started. And the reason why I chose to work for him, why I wanted to, because I knew he was a very laissez-faire individual. So he basically handed everything off to me, and I got to see the full spectrum of real estate through him. And I worked for him 2 years basically to the day, and then I went on my own, actually some in partnership with him. And that's where I really got my start in real estate. I had been involved in other businesses, and although I love all aspects of businesses, I really had found and knew that my passion was real estate and construction and renovation and that. So I basically built up enough seed money to buy my first property. I went into residential, multi-residential, and which is also in my nature of being conservative and long term. And anyway, so what happened was I bought a property that no one else was interested in, a very low-end property in the East End, which is actually a property I'm redeveloping today, and that was in 1998 that I purchased my first property on my own. I love to build, I love to create something that endures, I love to mark a neighborhood, impact a community and people. So as I built up my holdings, I bought a property in Laval that had an existing building and land to develop, right next to Carrefour Laval. And that was the first property that I developed. I built, it was called Cour Centrale, and I built 56 units, two 7-story buildings. A beautiful project, well located, very successful. It started in 2004, 2005, and I was finished by 2007, 2008. And that was the first, and then I moved on and I built in the Gay Village downtown, and that was another 58-unit project, different type of wooden brick buildings, where we took over a commercial land and put residential. And then I did some conversions in between. I redeveloped some properties that were existing townhouses and made them into condos. And then I moved on to this property in the East End, which is the first property I bought. When I bought my first property, which is on Bossuet in Desaulniers, which is pretty much a city block, several years ago I embarked on that process of redeveloping it, and in the end it's a project of 127 units. I'm living out my passion. This is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. I love to build. I love to create. I love to impact the community and impact people. You see how the community changes with the building that you build and the people that move in, and how the economy changes and how people's lives change. I can't tell you how many people have bought a unit from me, a condo, newly married or getting married, you know, and then their family grows and they have to sell their unit because they're moving into a house, you know, or a larger unit to accommodate their family, you know, and it's a beautiful thing to experience, and especially when you build it well and it's a good project and their value has not only been is not only strong, but it actually appreciates, so that it enables them to buy their house. It's such a tremendous feeling. So I've maintained relationships with a lot of my buyers. I mean, it's wonderful.